So Cardano ADA has continued to tap into these two regions that I talked about in my previous video, where essentially we could have two scenarios playing out right now, and one of which is ADA is in this X wave of this irregular structure. And this X wave typically retraces anywhere between 1 to 1.236 of this W wave. So you can see that it's this region here. And the other scenario could be that ADA is in this Y wave of this corrective move here. And this Y wave typically retraces anywhere between 1 to 1.236 of this W wave. So if I bring this to the right position, so it retraces anywhere between 59.77 cents to 66.29 cents. Now, what's interesting about this move here is that there is a possibility that it is now complete. And so if I drop down to the hourly chart, what you can see is that this wave is made up of corrective waves. And so essentially what you have is a WXY structure. And very quickly what we can do is do our checks. And typically the Y wave retraces anywhere between 1 to 1.236. And so as you can see, we end up tapping within this region here. And then we have another corrective wave over here. So we have a W wave, X wave, and a Y wave. And again, we can just do our checks very quickly. And as you can see, we end up retracing within this range between 1 and 1.236. And then this forms part of a bigger WXY structure. Like so. And so it is possible that this move is now complete. And so if I just remove this to make it more clearer. So essentially that's what you have playing out, a WXY structure. And then we are now on the move to the upside. But we do need further confirmation. And one of which is that we continue to hold this position rather than, seeing a continuation to the downside where we then break this local low. Now, this move is also made up of a WXY structure. And so it's possible that, this wave is now complete and we see a move to the downside. And so in order for us to confirm that we are on a bullish trend, then ideally I'd like to see ADA hold this position here at 64.71 cents, which is our previous local low. And so if ADA does something of this ilk, where we have a WXY structure, then that could confirm that we are now on the move to the upside. However, if we continue to move to the downside and don't hold this position here, then there is a possibility that this is just a relief rally and there is a another low. Now you can see that on the stochastic RSI that we are overbought, and so the bulls are now slowly starting to lose the momentum. And so there is a possibility that we will retrace to the downside, where ideally we find support at this range. And same could be said on the 4-hour chart too, where we are overbought on the stochastic RSI. And so once again, ideally, I'd like to see ADA hold this position, where we can then retest this 50 EMA at 69.29 cents. Now, should we do so, that would then be another bullish sign that we are now on an uptrend, as opposed to a bearish sign. So if I go back to the hourly chart, one thing that is promising too is that we have managed to actually break through the 50 EMA. So as you can see previously, we ended up finding rejection multiple times. So over here and over here, and even over here too. And then we saw a breakdown, and then we ended up pushing through that 50 EMA, and we're now hovering over that 50 EMA. But I do think that we will probably retest this 50 EMA at some point and actually fail to find support. And even if we do so, it wouldn't be too much of an issue as long as we, again, continue to hold this position here at 64.71 cents and let's see another move to the upside. So in fact, since we're here, what you can see is a potential WXY structure like so to complete this wave. And then again, I'm anticipating a move like so. Now this X wave typically retraces anywhere between 50% to 88.2%. And so ADA could fall as deep as 63 cents. So we might even not hold this position. And as long as we continue to find that bounce to the upside, then, it's not too much of an issue. Now, if I go back to the 4-hour chart, Again, some key levels would be this 50 EMA. So if we do manage to find that bounce to the downside and then see another push to the upside, then ideally I'd like to see ADA test that 50 EMA, which would be another bullish sign. So you can see that the 50 EMA sits at 69 cents, and on the hourly chart, the 200 EMA also sits at 69 cents. And so these two will be really key levels for ADA to confirm that we are on a bullish trend. Now, the daily chart is interesting because the stochastic RSI is indicating that we are within the oversold conditions, and so the bears are slowly starting to lose that momentum. And you can see that smart money concept is also indicating that we have a strong low and a weak high. And so we are still bullish despite this move to the downside that we have seen. But again, we are going to need to test these key levels in order for us to confirm that we are on a bullish trend. So yeah, that's just my quick update on Cardano ADA. As of right now, we are testing key levels. Right now, two scenarios could potentially be playing out where we are either on a relief rally and we continue to see moves to the downside where this local low at 62 cents gets broken and we see a deeper move, or we could see a push to the upside where we then test these EMA levels, which could possibly confirm that we are on a bullish trend. So hopefully you found this video useful, and if you did, then feel free to hit that like button, and if you're new, feel free to subscribe. Take it easy, people. Peace.